Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Papercraft 101 tutorial video, and this is going to be episode 4. And what this episode is basically going to be about is going to be the model that we're going to be making is this interesting design here, as you can see. It's kind of based, I suppose, off this cube in that they're the same kind of size cube fundamentally, but well, this is missing one kind of cube out of, like, if you say it's made out of 27, this is made out of 10, missing 17 of them, so that's interesting. But yeah, what we're going to be making is this, and this time the kind of main focus of this episode, what you're going to learn is less about kind of putting it together, interesting drawing tips, as opposed to how to design it out, because this is, out of all of them, this is the most complex one for me was the most complex one for me to design, and it was also the most complicated to plan out how it folds from one piece of paper. So that's kind of what this episode is going to focus on, just how you do that, how I do it, and I'm not going to show you how you do it. But anyway, enough of that. As usual, at the start of these I'm going to show you the pictures people sent me of the last week's episode, that the design that they did, and once again Avatar Yang Chen, she did where is it? Here. She did this curved one again, and again in nice coloured paper, and it looks really good. So she keeps doing them, and that's really cool. If you want to send them in, airspeedprime@gmail.com is the place to send them into. Just my username @gmail.com. And yeah, I'll see you back behind the camera now, where we're gonna make this from design to actually putting together. Hello, I'm back now behind the camera, and obviously what we're gonna make this week is this design here. Here's a quick turnaround of it. You can see it's basically a cube kind of in the corner, but then you're basically taking out a lot of the cube at the front, and it makes this interesting step up pattern. And yeah, so that's what we're going to make. What you're going to need is mainly just this. You're going to use this right angle a lot to actually draw this out, and that's really all you need. You need this, pencil, a glue stick or glue, and a hobby knife, scissors to cut it out. So yeah, that's what we're going to use. And really I'm not going to do much drawing in this video, because the actual drawing it out is very easy. It just takes a bit of time, so I'm not really going to focus too much on that, but instead I'm just going to basically bring you through my design process for how I actually made this. And this shape, this whole kind of shape, this model came basically from this model. Because when I was just thinking of what to do, I actually considered doing this one for episode 1, but I eventually settled on doing this because it was a bit more simple, you know, just a cube missing one piece. But you know, the main thing about this is that it's missing one cube out of 3 across, and basically 1 out of 9 kind of separate individual cubes on the top. So it's missing 1 out of the whole thing made up of 27 cubes. That's the concept for that one. In this case, it's actually missing 17 out of 27 cubes, so there's only 10 left. You can see 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 on the bottom, 7, 8, and then this one makes 9, and then 10 on the top, and it's missing kind of all of them. You can sort of see that, that fits in there, and it works out well. But so, anyway, that's where the kind of shape came from. I then kind of, on this sheet of paper, just kind of sketched it out there like that in rough isometric projection, just to get a kind of idea of what the shape is going to be. I then roughly sketched out what it was going to look like when you fold it out, and I'll talk about that more in a second, how exactly you do that. But that's my main design process, what I do. Rough drawing, kind of sketch out if it'll work, even making it out of one sheet of paper or multiple. And then I kind of I saw from this that, yeah, it does actually work. I have to figure out the exact details of tab placement and stuff like that later, but fundamentally it works. Next, I've just moved to this process, a bit more accurate drawing, so proper isometric projection using set square. And you're left with this design, which is just that kind of angle looking at it. So you can see everything that's important to see, all the different faces at the front, because the easy shapes are this one, this one, and this one. They're the three ones you don't really need to focus on too much, they're easy. From there, you can see the numbers on them. I'll come back to that in a second. I drew a... It's not like accurately drawn out, but it's just a bit more clearer than the one on the other sheet of paper here to draw it out. And how you plan this out to, like, this is the most complex one so far to plan out how you fold this out into a flat piece of paper. Like the pyramid, for instance, was just the base and then 4 triangles which fold up here. This one was just a cube, and you made one cut on 3 of them to make this. The kind of curved surface one, again, was fairly simple. You can use the same basic design as this. It's just instead of having a box on either side, you had a kind of curved shape on either side. But with this one, you're kind of left in a situation like, where on earth do you start? And that's what this episode, the kind of learning bit of this episode is going to be on. Where do you kind of start planning these out? In those, I told you to like start off with the base, like a big bit. And that's what you do here. The biggest, you're not going to start off with these bits. You focus on them later. So for the start, you actually focus on the large bits. So there's 3 large bits. They're the exact same here. So you're going to focus on them and how they connect together at the start. And you can see right away that this one's connected to this one, and then this one's also connected to this one. So how you do that is just, you actually lay it out like that. As you can see outlined in black here. So that's just, what way is that? It's kind of like that. You can see this face is that one there, and then when you turn it this way, that makes that one, and then this one's also connected there. And you can see that they come together at this joint here. That's the only one piece that you need to kind of join together. Right there. That's where you put your tab and then they'll glue together. And that basically makes your kind of corner section here. Then, the complex part is really all these different faces here. How do you work with them? And then the main thing to focus on is like, that's when you bring in like, putting it together. If you were just to put like one cube all over the place, all over this design, it's not going to work. So the main thing that I focused on was just that make it in as least amount of steps as possible. So it's actually interesting to just start focusing on the top, and you can see that this cube is linked together with this one all the way down here. And so I just marked them as 2, put them all as 2, and then since we start at the top here, basically the like back one of basically this one, you just start there and connect it here, and you can just see that like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. So you just draw 6 up, and that's what the 2s here correspond to. And like this 2 here at the top is this 2 down the bottom. Then you have to focus along this line here, the 1s. And now the 1s you can see here, just attached there. There's you have this face as a 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1s, and you have the same here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there you have like the whole kind of back corner, as well as all this done, and then you know it'd be a bit too much to just kind of connect the 3s onto here. So it's just connect the 3s onto the first bit. So that's back to here, 2 connected to 3 here, and see 2 connected to 3 here. And that's going to like come down here. So 3, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 this time because you have a 1 here. And then you just see come across 4. Then you're really only left with complicated bits in this, this, and this, which, if you actually look back to the cube design, is actually just a kind of little area like that. So again, this is going to be the more difficult bit. But you can see that along your 2, this one here, which I call 4, is actually just connected to this one. So then you come back and you go like that. It's not the first, it's not the second, but the third. It's connected to the second or the fourth one. The third or the fourth one, I mean. So I just said like, okay, I'll connect it to the third 2. So you just go 1, 2, 3 and connect it there. 4. And then you have to come with 5. I just said like, okay, I'll connect 5 and 6 together. and then it has to be along a 3. So I just said it's just 1, the second 3, and then 5 and 6. So see, 1, this is the second 3, and then 5 and 6. And that actually works together, and then you're going to have to make a cut along this dark kind of line here to separate the bits and they'll come together. And that's basically was my design process for how this thing came together. And that's what you need to focus on. You just focus on the main bits, big bits, then focus on kind of straight bits as opposed to complicated bits like this. Just straight, straight, straight. And then see where you can get the complicated bits from. That's the way I do it, and hopefully that helps you a bit. And just drawing it out like this and then doing this helps so much in terms of planning it out. But anyway, next, obviously, as I said, I'm going to do this a bit differently. Moving the design out of the way. Then came the point of actually like just drawing this out. There's this whole thing drawn out. It's just a bunch of cubes put together. I've outlined it in black what you need, and all the other lines there are just drawing lines that I used to actually make this. But you can see basically that this thing is the exact same as the basic sketch I did, which is pretty much the exact same as the original sketch design. So it's all come together pretty nicely so far. And then, like, I'm not actually going to draw all this out because it is just a bunch of boxes connected together, like this. There's no real extra skill involved in the drawing. One tip I would give you though is start off with this huge line down the center page. It's just 12 boxes on top of each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Start with that kind of in the middle of the page, but leave yourself enough space across here where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more boxes. The dimensions are just each little box is 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. So leave yourself in from this side 12 centimeters across in total, but you have to also leave yourself 6 centimeters across here. So you just have to position it so it all fits on the page. That's the furthest out on this side that it comes, and then down here is the furthest out on this side it comes. You can see there's only a little gap left on either side. So I'm just going to kind of zoom back on this, and you can kind of like pause the video to have an idea of what you need to draw. Like that. You can see it's kind of 12 up, 6 across here. You come down 2, 3 across. And then from the top of... It's probably easiest to kind of start with this section. You have the bottom, the 2 sides, and then across. So, you know, just pause the video kind of there and draw that out. Every little one of those boxes is 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. And then when you're done with that, kind of come back and I'll show you where to place the tabs and explain kind of how you do that on this more complicated design. So, I suppose just a quick help, you know, you have that bit there. Or if this is probably an easier one to kind of look at almost. You see, just kind of draw those bits first, and then you're going to draw this big bit up here, this big bit up here, and then from the top of, you see this one, the kind of top bit, up 1 and then across 4 for that, as you can see here, across 4, and you have this area here. So just draw that out. I'm not gonna, there's no point in me like showing you how to draw this out because it's simple, it just takes a while, and this video will be ages to upload and stuff like that if I spend the 10 minutes doing it, and it's really just a lot of right angles, measuring 2, 2, 2, 2. It's just, so anyway, pause the video and I'm going to show you now how to do the tabs on this. And a brief explanation on basically how I figured out the tabs, which it's actually very difficult to do. This is probably the hardest part of the whole design. In that I actually, when I first did my original one here, I basically drew this out and I put tabs pretty much anywhere I could put them and cut it all out. So I basically did extra work, and then I basically folded it together as it was going to go and figured out like, okay, this tab's not needed because there's 2 tabs in the way there, and stuff like that. And I came out with the kind of plan that the tabs I have here. I have them all marked off where you need them here. I'm just going to show you more in depth on this. So here's the kind of one main bit of drawing I'm going to do in this video. And this is all just kind of freehand stuff, but the first thing you need is tabs all along here, basically. Just one here, one here, one here, one here. All separate ones on each of them. So just kind of shape them all kind of like that on all of them. So like that. You don't need a tab here because you'll have a tab kind of down here that'll link in there. You do, on the other hand, need tabs on the bottom of these bits. And like if you're designing your own stuff and you make it a more complicated design, it is a kind of trial and error process where like you draw out your main design, you put tabs kind of all over the place, cut all of those tabs on the whole design out, and as you're putting together you see what tabs are needed and what tabs are not needed. So I'm just kind of showing you like the results of that, like the kind of learning process I went through when making this thing. So you have tabs all along here, all along there, and effectively what those tabs are going to do is that they are going to, you can see that these tabs are all along the one area. They're going to connect this area, which is the ones, to the bottom and to here, here, and here. And you'll have one there in a second. So then you put tabs all along this area up until like just before here. So you just have tabs kind of all along here, and then you're left with like along the top, none there, but all along here, as you can see. And those tabs are just going to kind of connect to these bits to make the side bit of the triangle. So those tabs basically connect this to there, all along here, in there. You have one tab here, and this is kind of where the trial and error came into play. I thought I would have a tab here also and along here, but actually the only places you need tabs here in the middle bit are there, you need one here and here, which is a kind of different thing that we've done before. We've never had two tabs that close together, but they work because of the way this kind of falls together here. You also need one here, one there, there. You need them all across here, so 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see here, right across, and then you're left with just like you've done all of this bit. Then you just have to focus on tabs for this bit, the kind of more simple part. And really there's only two tabs here. You're going to have one tab here, one tab here, and this tab, all that tab is going to do is actually take the place of one here. It's slightly easier to actually have the tab on this bit than putting it there. It just works. And if you're wondering, like what these tabs are going to do is basically do the job of that these ones did on this side. So they're going to connect this bit to basically make these ones do this side. The tabs here do that side. I've shown you what the ones along the top do. This tab is basically right there. And then these ones in the middle are basically here. Just attach these bits together at the middle, the kind of confusing area. And finally, the final tab is simple. It's just one giant tab along these three. Just there. And that's all the tabs that you need on this thing. There's a lot of them, but in the end it's actually a fairly simple fold. And then all you have to do is just cut it out. It's simple. Just watch when you're cutting around things that don't have tabs on them, and get the tabs kind of right in at the corner when you're cutting it out, and give them like a decent amount of surface area to tabs so they stick nicely. And I suppose this is a kind of confusing place to do tab. The best thing to do is kind of do a 45-degree angle from the corner, and then just kind of make the tab from there, like so one of them is not differently sized than the other one. And a note when you're cutting it out is that this area goes away, and you cut along this line here. And in terms of like being inside the box cuts, that's the only place in the whole thing that you cut in between like drawing lines. Just there. Cut there, which basically opens out this area, and you should, this whole, I'll just shade it in actually. You actually cut out this shaded in area and you're just left with the tabs and then these bits around here. And I'll be back after this cut with my one cut out, so you can kind of judge yours against the way it's actually meant to be cut out. Then we'll put it together. Okay, so I'm back now after I've cut out my completed drawing, and I suppose that is the interesting thing to really look at. Like, this crazy cut out piece of paper folded together makes this kind of compact thing, and I just kind of, at least the thing that like I really like about Papercraft, and especially when I do these videos, is just comparing the kind of laid out drawing, like not just drawn on a sheet of paper but actually cut out, ready to go, compared to the final product. It's really cool just to look at that. And anyway, let's just check out our thing. So as you can see here, you know, along the top you've got your tabs on the top, all along the bottom, down the side. It's cut just along this line here, just that one there, and you can see how you've got your two tabs in the middle here and here, one on the outside, 4 along here, big tab here, and then 1 tab here. And now, okay, it's time to kind of fold it together, and what we're going to do is obviously pre-fold everything. And we start with just the main folds, ignoring the tabs for a second. We'll just focus on this bit, which basically becomes this, and this bit basically become this whole corner, the big bit. So we're going to fold it kind of inwards like this. So what you do is just along this line here, fold up. So just that's what you do. You just like fold up like that, and then you see it comes down like that. You fold this bit inwards like this, like that. As you can see, that becomes a corner. When you fold the tab up, that just sticks in there like that. Then what you do is along this line here, you just fold this whole massive section down. And then what you do is you kind of just look here, and like you can see now what this is going to do. This whole long bit's just going to fold down into these bits. So what you're actually going to do is just look here and you go like, okay, fold this one down, but to fold this one in, down, in. And basically what you do is just like this. Also you go down, in, and you're just kind of folding the paper back on top of itself to make this kind of, you're just kind of compressing the paper down. It's really cool. You can see you're just left with kind of this, and then this kind of springy bit in the middle. So as you can see this, as you can sort of see there, that kind of just folds in like that along the edge, comes down there, like that. And then we'll just come to the other side of this, and you just basically do the same thing. You can see down, in, and that's what you do. So fold it down, up, down, up, and you've got this side of it done now too. You can see it fits nicely. Then you come down to the front bit. So see, this bit's going to come down here, and then once again you're just going to go in, out, in, out, in, out. So you just come like this, and once again fold, 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 fold. And you see, it starts to get a lot crazy, like when you just look at it like that. It just like looks like nothing, but it only really comes together once you're done. But you can sort of see that like it's come together. It looks nothing like that right now, but you can see the pattern that this is going to make along the front there. And then you come to the middle bit here, and all you do is just fold well, just look at this way. Fold this bit in this way, and then you fold this bit down as well, and then this bit up. And if you look at it from this way, you're left with this pattern there like that, and it works. Then, time to fold the tabs. There's your kind of completed folding of it in the normal way. So basically, you actually fold all of the tabs in towards the drawing lines. All of them, except this one in the middle here. This one right here, you fold the other way. That's the only one right here that you don't fold that way. So you fold it the other way. Now, time to put it together. Got my glue stick out. Now, the way you actually put this together is you actually can ignore the kind of big kind of fold bit until the end. Ignore this bit until the end. Now, what you're actually going to do is actually just build up the front section of it first, because that's the most complicated bit. And if you left it to the end, you're just kind of really awkwardly folding it. So, what you're actually going to do here is basically hold it like this, ignoring the big bits, and just focus on here. As you can see, these bits here. Glue the tab, glue this tab and this tab. So this is a normal tab, and then this is the one tab that you've actually folded the other way. So just put glue on them, and then what you do is you basically straighten this out. You put this tab in here, and then this tab in here, and just kind of press from behind on those two, and they'll come together like that. So if you're wondering for like orientation, like you basically just use the first few to make this, and that's the kind of just this front two box section bit. And then what you're going to do next is glue this tab, and then just stick this bit down and this bit down. So that's what we'll just do. Glue this tab and glue this tab, and then just hold this one down from behind. And that's why you actually leave this bit until the end, because this way you can actually do all these kind of important folds. Like these are the ones key to kind of stick really tightly. These ones, because you can just reach in behind and glue them down. So you can see it's starting to come together. There's the top three bits kind of done, as you can see. Then it's just about making the kind of bottom layer. So this is actually confusing in that you have to fold this bit up, and this just kind of involves knowing what the shape looks like. So it really helps to like just have a knowledge of like what the shape actually looks like, so you know what you're doing here. Because just to keep this on camera, you can see that this bit's going to fold in here. You bring this bit up, this one's going to fold in there, this one's going to fold in there, and it's going to glue all around. So basically what you can do is glue all of these tabs, and basically just one by one gradually glue this one, 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 and then you'll just be left with the kind of bit completed there, and then you just focus on gluing the big bits on. So that's what you're going to do, is just put glue on all of these tabs here. It's a surprisingly kind of not awkward one. So you start with, you got your three blocks up here, and you just go put into this one. Glue that one in there, like that. You get this kind of floaty bit that doesn't have any tabs attached to it, and then you glue the next tab onto this side of it. Glue that one on. The next tab you actually glue just into the other side of it. Then the next tab you just glue into this one, and you see, like, basically as you put the first like tab in here, the whole thing starts to come together really. So once you just get the first few kind of in place, it kind of just comes together nicely. And then the final one here. And you can just see it kind of coming together. make sure to really kind of press down on them to keep them in place. And you can see there's the kind of main front section of it done. And then all you're left to do is just really just glue all of these sections to there, all of these sections to there, and then you close at the bottom with this tab. So you're actually going to leave this bit until the end, this final bit at the bottom, and just glue, actually we'll glue this side on first here. And the actual easiest way to do this, instead of just gluing all these tabs now that they're all over the place, is just to glue the edges of this. So just go that way and across, really get the edges. And also glue this tab here on this side, because you're going to use that now. And then what you do is just, as before, just start at the top, press tightly, and just keep go through them all, just positioning them in the correct place. Just keep going down, go down again, and then press them together. And then, you know, press that one in at the side this way, so you sort of see it. Just press in on them from the inside. And this is the reason why you keep it kind of open as long as possible, because you can press down on all the tabs if you want. If one comes loose, you can just stick your finger in and untab it and glue it again. Now we're left with, again, this bit on the bottom that we're going to leave to last. So we're going to glue this side to all these tabs, and once again we're going to glue the edges of this side here. So sorry if this is just confusing, it is a very awkward shape if I keep moving it around on camera, so sorry about that. Just glue all of the edges, and then once again just in at the corners, and then this is where it kind of gets confusing as you're kind of like sticking your finger in the kind of whole thing as it's coming together, but it does work. It's fairly easy, especially if you have good glue and it just kind of sticks instantly. It just comes together nicely. And finally here, so you can see there, like that's basically it, nearly done. Then all you need to do is glue this tab here and then all along here. So I'll just do that, glue this tab, and then all along here. And, you know, closing these designs is always the hardest part. So kind of what you do is just, again, as I said on the last one, just kind of leave these open a little bit, out a bit, so that the glue will definitely touch off them. And then focus on getting this kind of tab in at the corner right. So you kind of just do this one first and just stick it down tightly. And then you have it basically together, and then just gradually shape this one around these ones here. As you can see, I'm just going to hold them in place. It's a bit awkward as they just kind of hold them in place, and you can sort of see, like, there it is. That's pretty much the design done. Just take extra time to just make sure that you get the bottom bit closed. And there it is. It's pretty much the exact same. But anyway, that's that design. It's the aim of this video, I suppose, was to show you that these complex, more complex designs with stuff all over the place can still be done using just one sheet of paper, kind of, and then folding it all together. And it was really to show you how you go about doing that. Like, you focus on the big surfaces first, and then from there go down the kind of sides, and then focus on more the complicated bits that you don't know where it's going to come together. How, like, when you start to do the tabs, it's kind of a trial and error process if you make your own stuff. Unless you use a computer program, but I didn't. And how, like, in the end, like, it looks like the concept of this looked silly, like that, like you would never be able to do it. Like, how is that going to make this shape? How could you ever make this shape out of paper? But in the end, you can see you came out with some nice models, and it worked. So that's what this video was to show you. I'm sorry I didn't show you, like, me drawing the whole thing out, but I really didn't see any point in me just drawing loads of squares. It'd just take ages, make the video longer, make the upload take longer, and stuff like that. So thank you for watching this one. But yeah, again, the email address if you make this design is airspeedprime@gmail.com. I'd really appreciate you sending in one on this, because I think this is one of the models that I'm kind of most proud of. That I really wasn't sure if I'd be able to make this out of paper, but I did, and I'm really happy I managed to do that and put together a tutorial video that I think is it's not overly difficult, and show you that a complex design like this is actually fairly easy, and that Papercraft at this kind of base level is fairly easy.